A Ukrainian attack on a Russian ship now appears to have caused a massive explosion at this port in Crimea. It's Kyiv's largest strike against Russia's navy in months. But as our Roxana Saberi reports, the small victory comes at a complicated time.
A deafening blast sent shockwaves across eastern Crimea. The Ukrainian military said its warplane struck a Russian landing ship docked in the port city of Feodosia. The Russian-backed Crimean government said one person was killed, while the Kremlin acknowledged that guided missiles had damaged the ship. Ukraine's Air Force called the airstrike a significant event. Last year, Ukrainian anti-ship missiles sunk its flagship cruiser. The sinking of yet another warship boosts morale for Ukraine amid its months-long counteroffensive that has not gone according to plan. On Tuesday, military officials said their troops were forced to withdraw to the outskirts of a town near Donetsk. During a visit to the U.S. earlier this month, President Volodymyr Zelensky urged Congress to continue funding Ukraine's defense.
Ukraine is just a stepping stone for Russia.
President Biden is hoping for a funding package in January, but so far no deal has been reached.
And joining us now is the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, John Herbst. He's also the senior director for the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. Thanks so much for being with us. So I want to start with asking you, why is this withdrawal from Marinka that Roxana was talking about in her piece? Why is it so significant? And what might this say about the state of Ukraine's ground efforts right now?
The retreat from Marinka is a tactical retreat for Ukraine. They killed many Russians who, in a mass swarm, seized the city. So this is not a major defeat. It's like the Russian taking of Bakhmut after 9 months in the spring of this year. A much more significant development was the taking out of the Russian warship in Feodosia. The Russians have been driven out of the eastern and central Black Sea by Ukrainian forces, even though Ukraine has no navy.
So over the weekend, John, the New York Times reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin is open to a ceasefire deal. The only stipulation here is that the current conquests remain intact. So explain the strategy there.
Well, first, we don't know if this is anything more than a propaganda ploy by Putin to encourage people in the West to offer Russia concessions. We do know that when Russia occupies Ukraine, it's got 20% of Ukraine, it treats the citizens of Ukraine there abysmally. So Zelensky is not going to accept this. But keep in mind, Putin's objective is not simply to control what he currently has in Ukraine. It's to subdue Ukraine and move farther to the west and directly challenge the United States and NATO.
Okay. Yeah, that's an important point to make. I want to ask about America's involvement here. Is it crucial for President Biden to follow through on that promise to send more aid to Ukraine? I mean, talk about the global consequences here of not providing more support.
Biden is in the right place regarding, you might say, the quantity of aid to Ukraine. The aid package he's put together is the right aid package, which is essential to our interest. Because, again, if Putin wins in Ukraine, we're going to spend far more money and maybe American lives stopping him if he provokes or attacks America's NATO allies. It's also a blow to American leadership that this aid package has been held up in Congress, principally by quasi-isolationists, a small faction in the Republican Party. But Biden should be sending more advanced weapons to Ukraine, and that's on him. If we had sent the more advanced weapons 9 or 10 months ago, Ukraine's counteroffensive on land would have not taken back just a few hundred square kilometers of territory, but many thousands of square kilometers.
Ambassador John Herbst, thanks so much for your time and your insight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.